Ever since her 2014 feature film debut, the haunted doll Annabelle has haunted the dreams and nightmares of people everywhere. While the Blumhouse flick may have been a lot of people's introduction to the cursed plaything, she's been around for quite a while. Detained by the famous demonologists Ed and Lorraine Warren, Annabelle has been held in a special glass case at their Occult museum in Connecticut for decades. As with any Hollywood adaptation of a real story, concessions have to be made for plot purposes and often make the flick more exciting and engaging than they would have been otherwise. However, with Annabelle, there are plenty of chilling facts even without the big screen adjustments. Hello horror heads and welcome back to the scariest channel on YouTube, Top 5 Scary Videos. I'm your horror host Keegan Hughes, and today we're counting down the top 5 scary Annabelle facts that will haunt you. Before we get started, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe for more glass-eyed madness. Alright, let's begin. Starting off at number 5, we've got the differences between reality and fiction. So this part may not be haunting per se, but it is good to know the difference between the real doll and her movie star counterpart. First of all, the real Annabelle is a Raggedy Ann doll, not an intricate porcelain piece. Definitely not as creepy to look at, but looks can be deceiving. It would be much harder to market a movie with a Raggedy Ann doll as the titular character, so the studio made some concessions. However, the button-eyed fiend is still pretty creepy. Lorraine Warren once said in an interview that it's not what the doll looks like that makes it scary. It's what's been infused within the doll. Evil. That's as convincing an argument as you're gonna get about why you should fear a little girl made of fabric. Which is the creepier iteration? Raggedy or ornate? Sound off in the comments. The case the doll is kept in differs a bit as well. In the movie, Annabelle is propped up within a gigantic glass case, almost like the display at a modern museum installation. In the Warrens' Occult Museum, the box is a little less fancy. It's a wooden case with a glass window to display the doll. On top is a crucifix meant to keep the demon at bay, and below the showcase is a hand-painted sign warning folks not to open or disturb it. The sign, as well as a tarot card depicting the devil, are more or less identical in both iterations. Beyond these mostly stylistic changes, Annabelle is supposedly represented quite accurately in the movies. From the precautions people take around the doll to her shadowy backstory, Annabelle seems to have an on-screen presence consistent with her own. Swooping in at number 4, we've got Annabelle's origins. So Annabelle was discovered by the Warrens while under the care of a pair of 2 nurses living together in Hartford, Connecticut. One of these nurses, Donna, was given Annabelle by her mother as a gift. It's believed that the mom bought it at a thrift shop, thus the cursedness. It's not likely you'd find a cursed doll still sealed in the packaging. Stranger things have happened though. While there's no solid proof of this, it's also been said that the spirit of a young girl had found her way into the doll. She was around 7 years old when she was killed in a car accident outside of her home. The girl's name was Annabelle, and she'd managed to possess the toy. The movie posits that Annabelle's parents, inconsolable after her death, searched for ways to get their daughter back. The method they decided upon in the end was to bind her soul to the doll, so that she may have physical form once again. Like most reasonable people, Annabelle wasn't satisfied with being a Pinocchio-style being, and instead wanted to be a real person. This is where the evil activity originates. The movie claims she's always looking for a new body to possess. Other tales claim that the spirit haunted the house that the 2 nurses lived in, and the women gave Annabelle permission to take hold of the doll. This last option is given credence by the treatment given to the doll by the nurses. Donna would treat the doll like a real little girl even as odd things were happening in the home. She even gave Annabelle a little bracelet, which she still wears behind the glass at the museum. Sneaking in at number 3, we've got moving autonomously. What tipped the 2 women off that something was not normal with Annabelle was the fact that she seemed to be able to move around on her own. The doll would move around the house during the day, at first only slightly changing her positions, like crossing and uncrossing her limbs, moving her arms, or tilting her head. Eventually she began relocating to different locations in the house. Donna would leave the doll on the couch, head to work, and would discover the doll in her bedroom upon returning. These small movements became even more concerning when handwritten notes began to be discovered around the house. The fact that the parchment used was unrecognizable was distressing, but not nearly as distressing as the messages written on them. "Help me" was a common missive, scrawled with pencil in childlike lettering. Donna and her roommate chalked this up to be a prank, or maybe the results of someone breaking into the house when they weren't around. However, they began to believe that Annabelle was truly paranormal when she levitated her arms onto the table they were eating at. This was enough to have them contact a psychic and try to figure out what this doll was trying to communicate. It was then that they discovered the young spirit residing within the raggedy plaything. Even years later, when Annabelle was held in the case in the museum, she would appear unexpectedly in the Warrens' home. Clawing its way in at number 2, Poor Lou. When Annabelle was discovered to be possessed, nobody would have thought she was evil or malicious. This soon changed though when the fiance of one of the nurses came to visit. Lou would come by the house from time to time and would often sleep over on the couch. One night while dozing on the Chesterfield, Lou woke up in a frenzy. He was scared out of his mind and covered in sweat, claiming to have had a wicked nightmare. In this dream, Annabelle was crawling up his leg, then his shoulders, and then got to his neck. Lou thought she was trying to strangle him to death. This was enough to make him toss Annabelle across the room in anger, shouting that she was nothing more than a doll and that she couldn't hurt anyone. Bad call, Lou. Bad call. This seemed to provoke the demonic presence attached to the Raggedy Ann doll, which then caused 7 psychic wounds to appear on Lou's body. He doubled over in pain with claw-like gashes damaging his skin. But before he could get a good look at the injuries, the incisions disappeared. Definitely more evil than any young girl should ever be. And slinking its way in at number 1, we have a killer history. After the incident with Lou, Annabelle racked up quite the reputation for violence and animus. There's a laundry list of incidents involving her attacks on people trying to do away with evil. Apparently the first time Ed Warren took the doll for safekeeping, he put it in the backseat of his car. While driving away, he experienced car troubles and even encountered a demonic attack similar to the one in Annabelle Comes Home. Even after being placed in the glass case, Annabelle was able to cause problems for all sorts of visitors. A priest came by one day and threw Annabelle across the room, attempting to exorcise the demon from her. He yelled that God is more powerful than the devil and that Annabelle was powerless. Soon after though, this man got in a serious car accident involving a tractor trailer. He survived, living to tell the terrible tale. It's even said that he saw the doll in his rear view mirror right before the collision. An even more bloody tale involves a young man who thought it would be funny to antagonize the demonic doll. Against the advice of all present, he banged on the doll's case and laughed about it. Later, he was killed in a motorcycle crash. Granted, he could have just been a reckless person in general, but the encounter with the doll beforehand is creepy to say the least. Lastly, there was an incident in Thailand in which an elderly man died during a screening of Annabelle Comes Home. The British man was vacationing when he decided to see the latest haunted doll feature film. When the lights came up, his body was discovered and he was pronounced dead inside of the theater. This could just be a case of the stress of a horror movie exacerbating pre-existing medical conditions in an old man, but considering all the cursed content related to Annabelle, it's a little extra disturbing. Plus, Annabelle Comes Home is decidedly the least scary of the 3 Annabelle movies, so take that as you will. Oh man, just remind me never to visit Connecticut, alright? I've got enough problems without a killer doll exacting her demonic energy upon me. How many of you have ever visited the real Annabelle? What's the creepiest thing about her? Are there any haunted dolls out there that are worse? Make sure you let me know down in the comments. Speaking of comments, let's take a look at some of your more delicate ones from the top 5 scary horror movies ruined by their endings. Mateo El Distolero says, based. Based on what? Sean says, I unsubscribed when you said your Dave movie was Live Free Die Hard. I mean, wow, are you a fan of people waving keys in your face? I'm typing this before I watch to see if you had a miracle. What the hell are you talking about? I'm legitimately confused. Can someone explain what he's saying here? Brett M says, a Canadian talking about having enough of America's shameless positivity. Ha, okay. Just because we're polite doesn't mean that we're unrealistically positive. Have you seen any Canadian horror movies? Compared to Hollywood, we don't often pull punches. Suko Yote says, yeah, I saw The Devil Inside in theaters and the audience gave a collective groan/boo when the bit about the ongoing investigation came up. That's what I like to hear. Show them how you feel. And Abyss Phoenix 43 says, I really don't mind whether or not the ending of a horror movie is good or not. All I care about is the climax. This is a person who knows what they like. Good for you. A movie doesn't have to be perfect to be awesome. That's all the time we have for today. Before I reveal sensitive government secrets online, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe for more haunted hooligans. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. An eye for an eye. I'm down to be blind. Let's go. Stab my eyeballs out, huh? Let's go. Hot start. Whew, I feel that beef coming up. It's creeping its way up my trachea. Lorraine Warren once said, wait, what's food? Does food go down? What's the tube? There's trachea and there's, what's the other one?
One's for breathing and one's for...
One's for breathing, one's for eating, but what are they called?
Your 2 cents is
It's not likely. I said once again too many times. Donna would treat the doll like a real little girl. That was creepy. I'm sorry about that. I'm down. Let's catch fire. Let's do it. God damn it. thank you, Chris. This could just be the case of oh man, just remind me never to visit Connecticut when the bit about the investing in goagation. Those are words. 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. Apparently I don't know numbers at all. That's all that. See, that beef is crawling its way up out of me, man. I'm telling you.